Here's something weird. You know every word of that episode. You can quote it in your sleep. You've already watched it 11 times. And yet, when you open your streaming app tonight, exhausted from a Tuesday that felt like 3 Mondays, you're going to watch it again. And everyone around you has opinions about it. Your roommate says you need therapy. Your mom thinks you're afraid of commitment. The internet tells you you're depressed. But what if I told you that your brain is actually doing something incredibly smart? What if rewatching isn't avoidance at all, but a sophisticated coping mechanism that most people don't understand? Let's talk about what's really happening when you choose the familiar over the new. The paradox nobody talks about. Here's where it gets interesting. You're choosing to watch something where you already know the ending. You know who ends up together. You know who dies. You know which plot twist is coming and exactly when Jim looks at the camera. This should be boring, right? This should be the definition of diminishing returns. But your brain doesn't work like that. See, there's this concept in psychology called the uncertainty reduction theory. Basically, humans are terrible at handling uncertainty. We hate it. It makes us anxious, stressed, keeps us up at 2 a.m. wondering about things we can't control. Your job, your relationships, whether you said something weird in that meeting 3 days ago. Uncertainty everywhere. But that episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine? That's certain. You know Jake solves the case. You know the jokes land. You know exactly how you're going to feel for the next 22 minutes. And in a world that feels increasingly chaotic, that certainty is valuable. Really valuable. Your brain isn't being lazy. It's being strategic. What your comfort show actually does. Let's get specific about what's happening neurologically when you press play on that show you've seen 15 times. First, there's something called cognitive load. Every new piece of information your brain processes requires energy. When you watch something new, your brain is working overtime. Processing new faces, tracking plot threads, building mental models of character relationships, predicting outcomes. It's mentally expensive. Rewatching. Your brain already has the blueprint. It knows these people. It knows this world. Instead of spending energy on comprehension, your brain gets to spend energy on appreciation. You notice things you missed. You catch jokes that flew over your head the first time. You see how carefully something was set up 3 episodes before it paid off. But here's the beautiful part. While your conscious mind is relaxing into the familiar, your subconscious is doing something else entirely. It's pattern matching. It's connecting your current emotional state to similar states you've experienced before. It's helping you process feelings you might not even have words for. That episode where a character deals with failure? You're not just watching them fail. You're watching yourself fail. Processing your own disappointments through someone else's story. That's not escapism. That's emotional processing with training wheels. The identity connection. There's something else happening that's even more profound. Your favorite shows and movies, the ones you return to over and over, they're not just entertainment. They're part of your identity architecture. Think about it. When did you first watch your comfort show? Who were you then? What was happening in your life? These stories don't exist in a vacuum. They're connected to specific moments, specific versions of you. Maybe you discovered Gilmore Girls during your first year of college, homesick and overwhelmed. Maybe you watched The Shawshank Redemption with your dad every time it was on cable, before he passed away. Maybe The Good Place got you through a breakup, and now you can't separate the show from that period of growth. When you rewatch, you're not just revisiting the story. You're visiting yourself. All the versions of you who watched it before. The you who laughed at different jokes. The you who cried at different moments. The you who didn't understand certain themes until life taught you what they meant. Psychologists call this narrative identity. The idea that we understand ourselves through stories. And the stories we return to, again and again, those become foundational. They're mirrors we hold up to see how we've changed. Why new shows feel like work. Let's be honest about something. Starting a new show requires an investment. Not just time, emotional investment. You have to learn a new world, meet new people, figure out the tone. Is this going to be funny or devastating? Is this character annoying, or are they about to have incredible character development? Should you care about this subplot, or is it going nowhere? And there's risk. Real risk. What if you invest 6 hours and hate where it goes? What if everyone says it's brilliant but you think it's pretentious? What if it gets cancelled on a cliffhanger? What if it's amazing for 3 seasons and then completely falls apart? Or worse, what if it's actually good, but you're not in the right headspace to appreciate it, and then you've ruined it for yourself forever? Meanwhile, The Princess Bride is right there. You know it's 98 minutes. You know it's perfect start to finish. You know exactly when you'll laugh and exactly when you'll get a little misty during the death cannot stop true love speech. Zero risk. Guaranteed return. This isn't laziness. This is emotional economics. When you've only got limited bandwidth after a draining day, you're making the smart choice. The social dimension. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. A lot of your comfort shows and movies, they're social artifacts. Shared experiences that connected you to people. Maybe you watched The Office with your college roommates every Thursday night, back when people still did that. Maybe Jurassic Park was the movie you watched with your siblings on rainy weekends. Maybe you and your best friend can communicate entirely in Mean Girls quotes. These stories are threads that tie you to other people. And when those people aren't in your life anymore, when they've moved or changed or passed away, rewatching becomes a way of maintaining that connection. Of remembering not just the story, but the experience of sharing it. You're not just watching Forrest Gump. You're sitting next to your grandfather again, hearing him laugh at the same parts he always laughed at. You're not just watching Friends. You're back in that tiny apartment with people you don't see anymore, before everyone's scattered across the country chasing jobs and relationships and lives. This is grief work. This is memory keeping. This is love. Disguised as just watching TV. The permission you don't need. Look, I could tell you about more studies. About how Dr. Pamela Rutledge found that rewatching reduces cortisol levels. About how familiar narratives activate the parasympathetic nervous system, literally calming your body down. About how the American Psychological Association has documented the therapeutic benefits of repeated exposure to comforting media. But you don't need research to validate what you already know. That thing you do, where you put on a show you've seen 100 times when life feels like too much. That's working. It's helping. You're not broken for needing it. Your comfort show is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's providing comfort. It's giving you a safe place when the world doesn't feel safe. It's reminding you of who you are when you feel lost. It's letting your nervous system rest when everything else demands vigilance. New shows will be there when you're ready. When you have the bandwidth. When you're in the mood for uncertainty and surprise. And that's great. Exploration is valuable. But there's also value in return. In revisiting. In finding new meaning in old stories. In letting yourself be held by something familiar. The truth about escapism. Here's the thing they get wrong about escapism. They act like it's running away. Like choosing comfort over challenge is somehow failing at life. But that's not how humans work. You can't live in constant growth mode. You can't be challenged and stretched and pushing yourself every single moment. That's not resilience. That's a breakdown waiting to happen. Even athletes have rest days. Even soldiers get leave. Even your phone needs to recharge. Your comfort show is your rest day. Your leave. Your recharge. It's the place your brain goes to recover from being in the world. And recovery isn't weakness. It's part of the process. It's how you survive. So yeah, maybe you've watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy 17 times. Maybe you know every word of Pride and Prejudice. Maybe When Harry Met Sally is basically a personality trait at this point. That's not a problem. That's a solution. One you found on your own. One that works. And the next time someone judges you for it, you don't owe them an explanation. But if you want to give them one, here it is. You're taking care of yourself. In a world that's constantly demanding you be new and different and better, you're choosing something that lets you just be. And that's not just okay. It's wise. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a very important appointment with the same movie I've watched twice a month for 5 years. And I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Thanks for being here. If this resonated, subscribe for more deep dives into why we do the things we do. And if you want to support this work, consider becoming a channel member. Either way, I'll see you in the next one.